Richard, thank you so much for being with us today. We're at the Center for Device Innovation at Texas Medical Center in Houston, Texas. Really appreciate your time. Before we dig in, if you wouldn't mind just introducing yourself and briefly describe your role with Sana Health.
Sure. My name is Richard Hanbury and I'm CEO of Sana Health. I originally founded the technology itself very long time ago, and now I run the company, which basically means making sure we don't run out of money.
Fantastic. So I want to talk a little bit about your early life before we dig into Sana Health.
Yeah.
So did you develop an interest in technology at an early age, or was there a specific event in your life that led you into medical devices?
Biology was my favorite subject at school, and my biology teacher was actually one of the world's experts on the neurobiology of memory. And the very first class of our senior year, he said, I'm an expert in brains and nerves and neurons, and I'm going to spend 2 years talking to you about that. And if you want to go and learn about other stuff, there are other teachers in the school who will teach you. And out of my class of 18, 15 of us ended up doing something neuro-related.
Fantastic. Well, I'm going to shift now to Sana Health.
Yeah.
So I know you alluded to the story behind the story, what really brought you to develop the company. Would you mind going into that again and maybe elaborate a little bit more?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, really, so it was 1992. My second year abroad from my university degree. The accident that happened could have been a drunk driving accident anywhere in the world. It just happened that it was in the Yemen. I mean, we were driving down a road, and then there was a petrol truck coming in the opposite direction. Then when we were level with the front of the petrol truck, a car pulled out from behind it. And in that split second, I had to make the choice of to have a collision next to the petrol truck or go off the bridge that we were on at that point. Going off the bridge was the right choice because we both survived. And then that basically, I was medevaced back to the UK. I was clinically dead for 8 minutes that first night back in the UK. I was then in a coma, out of a coma, and then when finally I was out of a coma and they realized how bad the chronic nerve damage pain was, they said, look, we'll put you through everything. And then they tried everything, and then after a few months they were like, yeah, this is in the worst category of nerve damage pain that you can have. This will kill you within 5 years, and sorry, there's nothing we can do about it. And that was basically, they were just, we've done everything. This is kind of it. So Christopher Reeve was the best known person who had that level of nerve damage pain. He had a higher break, but he was in the same level of pain as me. And what happens is you get no slow wave sleep, you get no deep sleep. So the sleep that you really need for your body to actually recover, you don't get any of it. So each night I was lucidly dreaming and I was aware I was in pain 50% of each night. So yeah, the reality is, had I actually not got my aha moment in hospital, there's no way I would have waited for that 5-year period, because I didn't have a wife and kid at that point, and there's no quality of life. I don't understand how anybody withstands that level of pain and wants to carry on living, because there's just no quality of life. But I got lucky in hospital. I watched a particular movie. It was a Bruce Willis movie, Hudson Hawk. Have you ever seen it?
I haven't. No, I wish I have.
So Hudson Hawk is really funny in places, with really funny, fast-paced set pieces, and the dialogue and the script between those funny bits is a little bit dodgy, and that put me in and out of the state that in acting terms is called suspension of disbelief. And what that is your brain, it's basically, the technical term is temporal hypofrontality. It's the front of your brain basically shutting down. So most people experience that when they're watching a really good film, or watching their favorite football team or their favorite soccer team or whatever on screen, or meditating, or playing sport. Those are the usual things where people experience what we now call a flow state or a zone state. So being in the flow basically means you're mindful of what's going on and you're enjoying your surroundings. But film is probably the most common one that in America now people get that experience. So, oh yeah, when I'm watching that film, I'm not thinking about my emails, I'm not thinking about work. It just, yeah, an hour and a half's gone by, if it's a good enough film. The Hudson Hawk film was perfect for me because it was in, out, that state the whole way through. So by the end of the film, I was like, holy crap, that changed my pain levels more than morphine. And I was like, huh. And the bits of the film that made me feel good made me feel like I used to when I was skiing. So that was why I was looking for a way to produce an external stimulus to then get that state back. Because basically, meditation and hypnosis and cognitive behavioral therapy are things that are used and were used on me to try and solve chronic pain. But the problem is you've got so much, when you're over a certain level of pain, that stuff just can't cut through the noise. You need something outside stimulus to go, this is how you actually get back to relaxed. It's like if you think about fight, flight, and rest and recovery. When you're in chronic pain, you're permanently in fight, flight, which means you're more sensitive to everything. Every pain signal gets amplified because you are in fight, flight. And those two things basically brought me down towards rest and recovery while I was watching that film. So I was looking for a way, how do I reproduce that? How do I find a way to get myself from fight, flight into rest and recovery? At that stage, neuroplasticity as a word had been coined. People had mentioned the word, but no one believed it was a real thing. No one believed that the brain could actually in any way fix itself. So all I was looking for was a better painkiller. And what happened with the earliest prototypes is there was one day when I just got a couple of minutes of being pain-free after using the device for the first time. Because what I was getting to start off with was just less pain while I was using the stimulus, like watching the film, but there was no after effect. And then one day I had those first couple of minutes of like, oh, that is not actually hurting now. And then the 2 minutes went by and it stopped, but I was like, okay, I can't remember the exact words I said to myself, but the technical term now would be design freeze. Stop changing anything, just see if that works. And I carried on using the same thing every day. And then by the end of 3 months, that 2 minutes had become my first 24 hours. And I haven't had a minute's nerve damage pain since October 30th, 1993, which was the end of that 3 months. It literally removed the whole thing. It then took me about 6 months to realize that the pain wasn't coming back. At that point, it was like, okay, well, how do I get this to help all the other people that have spinal injuries, that have the same kind of problem? And the health service in the UK is brilliant for what it does. It's not brilliant for funding research. It's not set up to fund research. So even all the doctors that were in my hospital wanted to do research, wanted me to come back to do it, they couldn't find the money to do it. I ended up talking to army people, and they wanted to know how to help people resist interrogation. In that first proper talk with one of these people, they were like, oh, but hang on, if this works by producing this flow or zone state, you can help us with speed driving, marksmanship, endurance, all the things we actually care about to stop people getting captured in the first place. So that started all the military and sports work. And the technology just wasn't there to create something that someone can actually use at home whenever they need to. Which, when you're trying to trigger the body to heal itself, what you need is something that someone's using a little bit every single day. I mean, trying to do it in one go it's like someone trying to miss a meal and thinking that's suddenly going to be a diet. It's not. It's the consistent everyday use of it. And that was why it took so long to get from there to where we are now, because technology took a while to catch up. Now the technology's caught up, so now we have the device that people can use at home.
Story is unbelievable. I mean, it truly is that necessity is the mother of innovation.
Indeed.
So case in
Indeed.
point, I love that. Would you show us your technology?
Yeah, sure. So this is the device now. Basically, you've got pulsed light through the eyes, sound through headphones, and the key to how the device works is we've got a sensor on the forehead that's measuring someone's individual biometrics. So it's measuring how relaxed you are at a particular point in time. So remember, the entire purpose of the device is to get someone from fight, flight towards rest and recovery. So whether it's pain management or getting someone with insomnia to sleep, you're trying to get someone just to relax a lot. And that sensor is how we basically pick up how relaxed you are, and then we figure out which bits of the program are working for each individual, and then we prioritize that for that individual. So that's how it's working.
So it's very personalized.
Yes.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's
So
fantastic.
because everyone's brain works differently, there are common themes that we're using with everyone, but within those, some of those themes are more important at times than others.
Perfect, thank you. So talk a little bit more about Sana Health. What was the most recent milestone that you've achieved?
Recent milestone, so we've just finished raising one round of funding.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I mean, basically, the thing is that because I've been at this so long, because it was very personal to me, my aim is to get as many devices into the hands of people who need it as possible. So the opioid crisis in America is killing 73,000 people in the last year. 40,000+ of those are people who've been given prescription opioids who've then become addicted and died. So that's the biggest healthcare problem in America at the moment. We're aiming to basically, with this device, and anecdotally we've shown that people have dropped opioid use by about 30% on average, which is enough to stop a lot of people getting addicted, to help people get off opioids. And so we are tackling what we see as the biggest health crisis in America, and we're looking for whatever partner can help us actually reach as many people as possible. So that's the aim. That's what anybody who can help us do that, anybody who have interest in helping us with clinical trials, helping us with distribution, those are all the people I want to talk to.
Fantastic. Well, I can't thank you enough again for being here today. You are part of the TMCX cohort 2018 at CDI at TMC. I know we're going to see some great things. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you very much indeed.
And thank you again.
Appreciate it.